just, I'm gonna run this thing. I'll just run this thing.
Hey guys, I'm just going to quickly unbox these things I ordered for on Amazon. But I don't know if you can tell, I am sick. In fact, the whole household is sick. My son, my husband, myself. It has been crazy. Maybe when I'm much better, I'll talk more about it. But right now, I just want to unbox this thing with you guys quickly. So my son had cradle cap. He came out with a head full of hair. He had cradle cap, and while trying to treat it, I did not really realize that he was losing his hair, or I didn't really notice that he was losing his hair. It took a minute for me to notice that his hair was just, he was just losing his hair gradually, and just because I was so fixated on, you know, getting rid of his cradle cap, I didn't even notice. So just one day I was going through his old pictures. I'm like, wait, this boy used to have hair. Where did all that hair go? That's when I realized that, yeah, he's losing his hair. So just like the middle part of his head here is just gone. He just has like a little mohawk here, and just then a little at the bottom here. So thankfully the cradle cap is gone. The cradle cap was so bad. He had like in the middle here, he had like a reddish part, his skin. In fact, I stopped using the brush that I was using to scrub out the cradle cap. I stopped using it because I feel like it was too strong for his hair. So I just started using my hand to wash his hair. I got him silk hair bonnets to protect his hair. When I moisturize it, it will protect his hair. If you notice, he's always on a beanie or a hair bonnet. He has a special shampoo that he's using for his hair. And because his hair is just dry all the time, this is the conditioner I use for his hair to soften his hair when I'm combing it in the back. But this is the leave-in conditioner. This is Shea Moisture. This is huge. Just tap on the shop icon and just get this, or I'll link it in my Amazon storefront. The link is always found in the description box. I know how easy it is to comb his hair in the back, but I decided to get the leave-in conditioner. I got this silk, I hope it's silk though, silk satin crib sheet. He still uses, because he has the crib and he has the bassinet. The crib is in his room, the bassinet is in our room, since he's still sleeping in the same room with us. I feel like he'll soon outgrow the bassinet. That is why I did not see a point of getting, hold on, let me open this thing real quick. Like I was saying, I got the crib side instead of the bassinet side because I feel like he'll soon outgrow the bassinet, and it just doesn't make sense to just have a, to me, it doesn't make sense to have a crib sheet and a bassinet sheet. So I'll just figure out a way to fold this so that I can fit his bassinet. If you notice, my hair bonnet and stuff is always like silk satin because it just protects the hair. It protects the hair from the friction, hair loss. It keeps the hair moisturized and stuff. Because of his hair, he sleeps with his hair bonnet sometimes. So I decided to get this one so that he can sleep without his hair bonnet or his beanie, and it will protect his hair and still keep it moisturized. It comes in a pack of 2. So this is white and this is like gray silver. And last but not the least, but now photo album. I don't know in your household, but in my household we have like this photo album where my parents like stored pictures of when we were young, just memories. And when we grew up, it was always something that we loved to look at, see all these pictures and ask questions and see how we looked like when we were young, see the places they took us to, stuff like that. I thought to, you know, continue that in my own household. I know we're in a digital age right now. We can have all the whole pictures on our phone, and your phone feel lost one day. You can lose all those memories, but I feel like if you just have it here, it's going to be, I don't know, better than having it on your phone. And I'm even running out of space on my phone. So the plan is to save pictures in a particular folder. After some time, we'll go and print out a bunch of pictures and store them here. This can contain 600 pictures. It can take both portrait and landscape. I chose the color black because I just feel like this is something that is going to go down memory lane, and black is just going to be more suitable. But there are other colors. You can actually remove the picture here. Space for portraits, photos, and landscape photos side, and this will contain 600 pictures. Yeah, that is all for now, guys. I will see you guys later. It's been I apologize if my volume is going to be a bit low because I feel very, very bad. After I spoke to you guys the last time, as I'm talking to you now, my husband is currently sick. He had to go to the hospital yesterday because it was just very bad. He had a fever of like 103. It was terrible. So I was taking care of my son. I was also attending to my husband. It's just been very, very tough. But that's not why I turned on this camera. I just always feel the need to advocate for myself. Remember during my pregnancy, I was complaining about the same thing about the healthcare professionals here. Like, I expect more. I expected something different. But it's like they don't just give a shit. They're just like laissez-faire. They're just like, why am I ranting now? And the last time I spoke to you guys, we all fell sick. I was the first person that came down with a sickness. I was still trying to like, I have to be strong because of my baby. I was still trying to like downplay the way I was feeling. I still feel like shit and I'm still downplaying the way I'm feeling because if I succumb to the way I feel, nobody's going to take care of my baby because my husband is actually pretty sick right now. I'm just like trying to be here for the both of them. Anyway, I fell sick. My husband in turn fell sick. All hell broke loose when my son fell sick. I even took a video of him the day that we actually rushed him to the hospital. I played something for him to watch, and anytime I go back to that video, I just feel so sad that we didn't really clock that this boy is actually very, very sick. I just thought he was being super calm and I was just there like, wow, I'm impressed, Look at me not knowing that my boy was actually so sick. He just didn't even have the strength to throw any tantrum. I feel so bad anytime I go back to that video. That day he was just vomiting. He was just throwing up every food that you give him. At some point I was like, this boy has a fever. We Nigerians, just when you touch somebody's neck, you'd be like, are you sick? Do you have a fever? That's how I was doing it. And I'm like, I hold this boy all the time. This is not how his body temperature feels. Something is different. And one thing I've come to understand in this country, if you tell them, oh, I have a fever, they'll ask you, what was your temperature? They don't go by feel like we do back home. You legit have to actually check yourself and give them an actual number. When I did that, my husband being here too, he's like, might just be your hand. I took off his clothes. I was like, okay, maybe the weather is hot and this clothes is too stuffy for him. And his body temperature was still weird and my boy was just unusually calm, just dull. First of all, the no touch thermometer that we have, trash. That's another reason why I wasn't really taking seriously on my husband. Just thought I was talking, because when I decided to do that, it gave a normal baseline temperature like 98 point something. So he was like, it might just be your hand. Then we remember that we have the one that I put under the armpits, and we check, and this boy was 99.9. He legit had a fever. We are like, yeah, this boy is sick. Feel bad till now that it did not clock in the morning time that we needed to take this boy to the hospital. We took him to the hospital, a pediatric urgent care. They took COVID tests. Mind you, before then, my husband went to the urgent care, ran tests on him. Oh, they can't find anything. Ran COVID tests, they can't find anything. I'm like, someone is legit sick. How can you say you can't find anything? It just doesn't make any sense. COVID test came back negative. When they ran the test on my boy, they came back and they were like, oh, his COVID test came back positive. I'm just there like, what? How come? I'm like, I feel sick too. Test me for COVID. My test came back negative. So I'm like, I'm negative, his dad is negative. How is he positive? We limit the number of people that comes to the house. We take every precaution. When anybody comes to the house, you have to wash your hands. We have N95 we give people. I have stuff I give people to cover their body weight, like I take precautions. How did he get COVID? There might be stuff to it, but I just needed answers, right? And I wasn't getting satisfactory answers. It just wasn't making any sense to me. I was just beginning to ask questions and my husband was not having it anymore. So I stopped asking questions, but I wasn't comfortable. Thankfully, my mother-in-law is a nurse. So my husband relayed that result to my mother-in-law and she goes, it's not adding up. It might be a false positive. We should tell them to retake the tests. And before then, they said they would test for other viruses, but if the COVID test is positive, they're not going to test for other viruses. Because of his age, he's still a baby, they can't prescribe any medication. We're just going to stay there and watch his body fight it. I just realized that my mic did not capture audio for this clip, so I'm just going to do a voiceover to just summarize everything. I hope I really remember what I was saying. So basically, fast forward to the next day, I called the hospital and I told them I would like to come back to get a new test done, and the person that picks up the phone says, oh, if the rapid test says it's positive, then it's positive. I'm like, I would still like to come back and get the test done. And she goes that she's going to ask the doctor and get the doctor's opinion first. So basically, if the doctor says we shouldn't come, then they were not going to run the test again. So they gave me a call back and they said, the doctor said, oh, we can still come and take the test if we still want to take the test. Like, you know, if that's what you want to do, you do, but we've run the test and stuff like that. I'm like, sure, no problem. We go back there immediately. We tell them, take this test and take it to the lab. We want it done at the lab this time. No more rapid test. Doctor comes in and says the swab that they took from him the day before, that she just sent it to the lab now and they are going to test for other viruses. So they did that. It was just a waiting game at that point. And then again, we're just watching my son, you know, fight this sickness on his own. Those times were tough. Those times, it was tough to just watch. It was tough to handle. The fact that I was also sick myself. My husband was sick. He was also sick. It was terrible. Eventually, I hear that from the viruses that they tested him for, he came back positive for the rhinovirus. I'm like, okay, we're making progress here. And rhinovirus is just basically common cold, right? I'm like, what about the COVID test? They're still waiting for it. So we're just waiting and waiting and waiting. Mind you, he had the doctor's appointment. You know, they usually ask about the COVID status and stuff. I'm like, yeah, his test came back positive for COVID, but we are running the test again. I tried to give them the explanation. They refused to see my son because of that COVID test. I was so pissed. Like, I don't blame the hospital. That's their policy. Immediately we got back home, I called them. I'm like, how long will it take for the test result to come out? Eventually, we finally got a result and the test came back negative. So it was a false positive and I was so pissed. Assuming my mother-in-law wasn't a nurse, assuming I wasn't, you know, stubborn about it, would have just taken the false positive test like that and just like, oh, my boy has COVID. They can be messed up with the rapid test. That's not my problem. My problem is the doctor not doing her due diligence, not being thorough about it. Like, you're a health professional, you should know. That was why I was so pissed. It was just so happy to like tell me, oh, his test came back positive for COVID, oh, it's COVID, oh, is this, is that. They were not even trying to like test for other things. If I didn't call back, they would have just let it slide. And it just kept me wondering. I was just there thinking, like, how many other children have they done this to? How many other children have they given a false test results to? I was like, I'm going to sue them. That's how angry I was. If there was like a drug for COVID and my boy has gotten to the age of taking drugs, so would have just been giving this boy medications for COVID for the past couple days that they kept us hanging for something that he doesn't have. That was why I was so pissed. Carelessness on their end. Long story of everything, my boy had a false positive COVID test. So basically what he had was the rhinovirus. Thankfully now he's alright. Everybody is alright. It was just like back to back sickness. Thankfully I never fully broke down. I can't break down right now. Like, my family needs me. Just advocate for yourself. If you feel like you're not comfortable with a test result or a diagnosis, push for it. So this whole back and forth sickness has just increased my inconsistency. Like, I've really been going through a lot, guys. I've really been going through a lot. So apologies if I've not been consistent. Besides the fact that I'm taking motherhood one step at a time, just the back and forth sickness has been weighing me down a lot. I just really need to focus on getting my family healthy. I had to call cleaners to come clean the house because I really don't know what is causing this back and forth sickness. Because at this point, I'm not Superwoman. I can't do everything. Like I said, thankfully everybody is good. That is the end of this video, guys. I will see you guys in the next one.